Hey, Westerville Christian Church. My name is Dan Stoffer, and I'm the multiplication minister here at Westerville Christian. And I am so excited to continue on with our Days Until Easter devotional today by looking at Mark chapter 7. The scene is pretty incredible. Jesus is with his disciples. A crowd has gathered, and some of the crowd has sinister motives. And those with the sinister motives were the religious leaders, the Pharisees and the scribes. And we see back in Mark chapter 3 that they really were out to get Jesus, and they were self-made enemies of Jesus really since the very beginning of Jesus' ministry. In fact, they claimed that Jesus was only able to perform ministry because of Satan himself, that he could only heal people because Satan was helping him. They were conspiring against Jesus. And so here is this crowd gathered, and they want to get Jesus. They want to embarrass Jesus. They want to discredit Jesus. And the crowd is gathered, and Jesus' disciples were eating bread. Except there was a major problem. They were eating bread without washing their hands. Now, I want us to all consider that, considering this COVID-19 global pandemic right now, and how often we are washing our hands as we should, and taking care to make sure that whatever comes into our bodies does not harm us, hurt us, or make us sick. And so here's the disciples, and they don't wash their hands, and the religious leaders pick up on it. And we see in Mark chapter 7, verse 5, they ask Jesus because they want to embarrass Jesus, they want to discredit Jesus, why do your disciples not walk according to the tradition of the elders, but eat their bread with impure hands? Their concern is not the heart here of these disciples. Their concern is not the hope that Jesus can bring to the crowd gathered there and all these miracles that he's performing. Their hearts here are to discredit Jesus because Jesus and his closest followers, his disciples, were not following the traditions of the elders, the traditions of humanity, the traditions of men. If there's anything that this COVID-19 pandemic is forcing the church to evaluate, it's this. Why do we do what we do? Is it just another tradition? Maybe a lot of our traditions are on pause right now. The biggest tradition is gathering together in a large group of people in a large space and worshiping. It's on pause right now. And here the disciples of Jesus have not washed their hands. And because of the traditions of the elders, the law, because of rules and regulations, they are deemed unclean. And the Pharisees were only concerned with a rule and a regulation, and Jesus and his response is priceless in verse 6. Rightly did Isaiah prophesy of you hypocrites, as it is written, this people honors me with their lips, but their heart is far away from me. Jesus is saying here, it's not about rules and regulations, it's about the heart. In fact, Jesus was so concerned about the heart here. He's saying it's not also what goes into the man that defiles him, but what comes out of him. You can read more about that in verse 15 on through the rest of the chapter there. Jesus is saying, listen, it's not about something unclean going into them by what they eat. It's about our hearts. And God is most concerned about our hearts because it's in our heart that sinful thoughts are birthed into sinful actions. It's in our hearts that foolish pride wells up and crushes other people. It's in our hearts that what comes out of us does not bring light that a dark world desperately needs right now. You see, religion will tell you it's all about rules and regulations. A relationship with God will say it's all about your heart. And I'm most concerned about your heart because if you're right in there, what comes out of you will make a big difference. Friends, as we gear up for Easter, may what we bring into our bodies soften our hearts so that what comes out of our hearts and our actions and attitudes would bring light to a world that desperately needs it.